Hello and welcome to Hope for the Family, a podcast from the Magdalen House, a recovery community for alcoholism. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization based in Dallas, Texas, and known affectionately by many as Maggie's. Every first and third Wednesday, we bring you a new release from one of our 3 podcast series. In our Hope for the Family series, recovered family members from our community share how they've been able to find peace and freedom as the loved ones of alcoholics. With your host, me, Laurie Evans, loved one of an alcoholic and co-founder of Family Support at the Magdalen House. For more information about our family support group, including weekly meetings, please visit magdalenhouse.org/family. We're so glad you're here, and thank you for listening. Hello, and welcome to Hope for the Family. My name is Laurie, and I am the host for Hope for the Family. And today I'm talking to my friend Lucinda. She is actually on our board of directors at the Magdalen House, and she has a son who is her qualifier. And we are really excited to have you here, Lucinda.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here.
So I guess I'm going to start with my first question. How did you even find the Magdalen House or get connected with us?
Well, it really started with my friendship with Lisa Cronky.
Oh.
And we raised our kids together and were friends through that. And then when we started realizing that we had questions about the disease and about whether or not our son was actually a true blue alcoholic, my husband and I both reached out to them and started asking them some questions. And as I went through my recovery, I really found that all of the energy I was using in my management and in my disease of Al-Anon, I was putting into him, that in conversations with different people, I realized that energy needed to go somewhere else. And so I called Lisa and said, give me something to do.
She sure did.
And she did. And it's been life-saving.
That's great. And it's kind of funny. I have to make this comment. Everything runs through Lisa. Have y'all noticed?
It does.
It really does. I can't tell you how many people when I'm talking to them, well, how did you find the Magdalens? Well, I was talking to Lisa. Yeah. So
she said.
Yeah. And so you talked to Lisa and she gave you something to do. And then how's your son today?
He is on a recovery journey, and so that's really on his side of the street. And I love
that answer.
Yeah.
So I know you've been through the 12 steps, just like I have. And can you describe your journey?
Absolutely.
Through the 12 steps and how you came about that?
Yeah. When I started by going to Al-Anon, and a good friend took me with her to Al-Anon. I called her. She's also in the recovery world, and I was upset about something to do with my son, and said, this is obviously what I need to do. I need to jump on a plane. I need to go fix this. And she said, actually, you need to go with me to an Al-Anon meeting. And why don't I come get you? And it's in 2 hours, and I'll be there 30 minutes early, and we'll go. And so I went to an Al-Anon meeting and went to a foundation meeting, and really began to understand that as family members, a lot of us have the same disease. And so
with the exception of the body.
Well, correct, exactly. But that the mind portion is the same.
Yes.
We just focus on obsessing instead of on the chemical or the alcohol or drug or whatever our addiction is. And so that's where I really learned about getting a sponsor as a family member and working through the steps.
In that very first meeting, or did you go for...
No, I went for a few times, and then went to some meetings, and then started hearing people talk about working the steps, and got a sponsor, and really started working through the steps, and was amazed at what I learned.
Yeah. Did you have any misconceptions about the steps? I know I did.
Yeah.
And so, what were those?
Well, and you would think I would have known. My father was an alcoholic.
Oh, okay.
And so he had worked the steps, and he was in recovery for a long time. And so I had heard about him through that, and I had gone to adult children of alcoholics meetings and things like that, but it never dawned on me that they could apply to us as well. In working the steps, I think when I went through and looked at, like so many people have, when you look at step 4 and and you list everything out, and then you go into step 5 and you sit down with someone, you realize your role, and you shift a lot of the cause back to yourself, and you learn to give yourself grace for that, and that grace leads to your recovery, I think.
Yeah, I felt like the fifth step was a big trick to me.
Oh, it was too.
They wanted me to write down everybody that I was mad at. I'm like, yeah, I'm mad at a lot of people. Yeah. Right. And I started writing down there like, oh, okay, well, this is actually on you. I'm like, oh, man. But it helps me live in peace today. So
absolutely. You got to see that. See your role in it.
What part has family support or just the Magdalen House in general played in your journey? And has it helped your relationship with your loved one at all?
Yeah, it has. It absolutely has. And it's given me a depth of understanding for the disease and for alcoholics. And it's given me a place for my purpose.
Now, you were really instrumental in helping getting the men's house going, right? I just love that.
And that was a calling when I started getting involved. And two things that I discovered when I started getting involved with Magdalen House is, as a non-alcoholic, there wasn't really a place for me to plug in to help. There weren't as many places as I wanted. So we were able to create an auxiliary that for people who loved alcoholics.
Okay. To
get that started. And then from there I said, okay, and here's another thing. There's not a place for men. And there are 1 in 7 men are alcoholics. And there's a need, and there's not a place in Dallas. So what do we need to do to get this started? And so really just kept driving with a lot of like-minded people.
And how long ago did you have that thought? Like,
really initially when I first started getting involved, which was in summer of 2018. So it's been a while. But then we really didn't focus on the men's concept until about a year ago and getting serious about it.
Yeah.
Or 2 years ago.
I just think it's so great that we're helping men too. And
fantastic.
Actually, I'm sponsoring a couple of people that are the wife or the girlfriend of the men. And so it's like kind of opened up new avenues to help people.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I love that. So I think I know the answer to this, but what's the biggest gift you've received as a family member of an alcoholic and volunteering your time for the Maggie's House?
I think the peace that comes through working the steps and the realization that you're not going to be truly happy, joyous, and free until you're focused on helping others. And in that, you get such great peace and camaraderie and acceptance, and just so many great things have come to me from that.
Yeah,
that's been the greatest gift.
It's interesting to me because I, come up here and work with the families, and they're a lot of times pretty mad, you know, by the time they get here. Mm-hmm. And I've been really working really hard on like trying to let them know that because it's not like an Al-Anon group, because it's not an Al-Anon group, it's just family support.
Right.
So I've been really working hard at like, what I usually start with is, you don't have to tell me your story, you can, but I can tell you right now our stories are the same. Right. We came from the same shipwreck. We're all survivors, and I try to relate to them, but they a lot of times are just really mad and just want to hear how to keep them sober. That's what they're trying to do. And so I hope and it's funny because when you go through the steps as a family member and an alcoholic, I'm sure, obviously, all I wanted to do was help people. I wanted to give back what I had, and it's just like this burning desire I have to like go and help people and as many people and I can help. And I felt like this was such a great opportunity to do that. And it's just kind of hit and miss. I get a sponsor here, a sponsee here, and a sponsee there. And, but we're trying to make it more fun.
Well, and I think what I love about the way that you run family support, and I think for anyone who's considering coming to a family support meeting, it's a safe place to come and ask questions.
Yes, that is true.
It's not a place where you're going to walk in and say, okay, they're sick, you need to accept them, just move on down the road, you need to be nice. It's a place where you can go, I hear you, I've been there, totally get it. And a place where they can say, but why won't they stop drinking? And you can explain. And
the disease,
and work through the disease model and show people that, because there are times that I think that I'd seen that before, but until my mind was ready to see it and how it applied to our family, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you have to see something a couple of times. And I think that is such a gift to get someone who's brand new in this to say, what do I need to do? Like, well, you need to start understanding this.
Yeah.
And to realize it's the beginning of a journey, not a one, rip off the Band-Aid and you're finished.
Yeah, that is true. It's not going to be like,
Yeah.
That's what I try to explain to them. It's not like your loved one's going to go into like a hospital per se and get some medicine and be better. This is a lifetime change. It's a life change on both sides.
It is.
Have you ever been with your loved one when they had a relapse, or did they have a relapse?
They did. And I went into this whole recovery world with the perception that this was a one-time fix, that relapses don't happen if you get it right the first time. And I have since learned that that is just not the case, that it's a lifelong thing, and just like anything else, it's a learning process. So I would say the first time as a family that our son relapsed, my husband and I got a call that he had relapsed and he was in another city. And we, immediately I started tracking him on his phone, helping the people figure out how to get there. Here's where he is. You've got to go get him. And they did. And he was in a sober living facility. And so I played an instrumental part in that. And in looking back, that was helpful for me at the time because it made me feel better, but it was not the right thing for his long-term recovery.
The control made you feel better because that's what you needed. Yeah,
exactly. So his relapse just caused my own relapse.
Yes,
I took that as an opportunity.
Yes,
to have a relapse myself. And then down the road, when there was another slip, then he would call and say, "Hey, I need to tell you that I had a drink, that I called my sponsor, and this is what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to work it." And we'd say, "Hey, great. Keep me posted."
Totally different reactions.
Totally different reactions. And I would say, and even in between that, there was really a time where he was out for a few months.
Oh, okay.
And when he was out for a few months, we had the decision, do we still want to hang out with him? Do we still want to be with him? Do we still want him in our house? Do we want to cut ties? And just say, you can come back when you are clean and sober.
And set some boundaries.
Yeah. And so my husband and I talked about it, and he really had good instincts, I think, to say, we're going to have boundaries. We'd love to, and we'd say, we'd love for you to come over for dinner on Sunday night, but you're going to have to be sober when you're here. That's it. And there were times when he would call and say, I'm not going to make it. Okay. Take care of yourself, love you, and that was it. And then he would come over, and other times, and was completely sober, and was great, and was fine, and we had a good time, and we didn't talk about it, because there's more to the person than the disease.
That is so true, Lucinda, yes.
And that took me a while to figure that out, is to not just, it's okay to hate the disease, but it's not okay to judge the person because they have the disease.
Oh, wow.
And so that was a big learning curve for us, is to be able to do that and to be able to embrace the whole person and not just, you can be with us when everything's okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm not all okay every day either.
Well, yeah, nobody is, yeah.
And that was a really big learning curve. And that's something I would encourage everyone to think about, is how to set boundaries with your loved ones so that you can still have a relationship with them, even if regardless of if they're drinking or not, because you want to have a relationship as long as it's safe and healthy, and if they're participating in that. And we did have that. And in talking to our son, he had said that he made the decision to get sober and to join Next Step and to do some things because he realized that it was up to him.
Yeah.
Again, and so I think giving them that power and that control is important.
Yeah, because it was up to him, and if y'all were doing everything for him, then he wouldn't have to do it.
Right.
And a soft place to land doesn't help with that. So.
Right.
And then did you have, besides, I know you had Lisa and Dave, and then did you, and you have a lot of other friends, did you have support helping you and your husband like get through this to talk to? I guess you had a sponsor.
I had a sponsor, which was really helpful. And I went to a counselor that was good with addiction and was great at family members. And I would call her and say, and if I couldn't get my sponsor, I would call my counselor and say, I think I need to, call this. This is what I need to do. And they'd say, no, I don't think that's what you need to do. Okay.
That's great.
I won't do that. So just really relying on each decision as they would come up.
So if someone was considering, and you were talking to someone coming to the Magdalen House to get help, what is something you'd want to share with them that they might find helpful?
On the family side or on the alcoholic side?
Both.
I think to come in with an open mind and to just know that it's the beginning, and to, if they're coming in on the alcoholic side, I think my advice would be to come in with an openness to see what can happen in 2 weeks, and to be reflective of how this could impact my life, and how could this get me started. And then I think on the family side, I think I would continue to come back to meetings. I think that it's important to come that first time when your loved one's in the house, or if you come for the 2 weeks that they're in the house, I think that's great, but I would keep coming back.
Yeah, because we offer a Zoom too if
right.
they can't get in the car or whatever. So.
Yeah, and if that doesn't work for you, find an Al-Anon meeting that really follows the big book principles, because it's a great way and I think talking to you or anyone on the family support committee about their life as a family member, to help them figure out, are you really someone who needs to do the steps and work? Because some people can come in, get the information, walk away, and be fine.
I'm amazed at those people.
I am too.
Kudos. It's a disease?
Yeah.
Okay, see y'all later. Wait, I heard it was a disease and I wanted to cure it, and I'm not even 100%. A doctor, as you know.
100%. I wanted to cure it. What do I need to fix it? How do we need to change the diet? I was all in to fix it.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of people have been trying so hard for such a long time. By the time they get here into family support, like trying to get their loved ones sober, right? And not understanding that they were going about it the wrong way, because it's counterintuitive.
It is incredibly counterintuitive. When a dear friend told me that I was standing between his last drink, it was that you were, it was me, because I was dancing in between everything, keeping all of the repercussions at bay, and I was keeping everything from happening, and that I was the reason. And obviously I don't think I have that much control, but it was a big eye-opener, and it hurt. It hurt to my core. Because you were trying to help, and you didn't know that you were hurting. I was furious at the person who said it. I honestly balled up my hand in a fist and thought I was going to hit her. Whoa. Which is not my temperament.
Not like you at all.
No.
That's crazy. But I get it.
Yeah. And to realize that, and to grieve that, and to work through it, and then to make the hard decisions that we had to make. Yeah, how we talked at the beginning about how everything runs through Lisa. So she pulled me aside one day and said, "You need to back up just a little bit." And I was like, oh, okay, crazy lady. I'll back up just a little bit. And I did it because I had so much respect for her, and at the time we didn't have family support, so I didn't have anybody to talk to. So I was like, I'm just going to try this, because what I was doing before didn't work. It was before Tina sought recovery, I was getting in bed every night. I'd get in bed like 30, 45 minutes early so that I could lay there and have some time to concentrate and think what my plan was going to be for the next day to get her sober every day. I identify with that. Oh, yeah.
I was obsessed. And when she told me to back up just a little bit, I did. And watched her go through the steps. I had a front row seat. And really witnessed a miracle in my own home, because God removed her obsession for alcohol completely. And had I not done that, and it had been my plan that got her sober, not God's, and with Lisa's help, I don't think we'd be where we're at today.
Right. So I'm sure
it'd be a completely different picture. So.
And I think that when you go through that, you have to grieve the fact that you don't have as much influence, and you have to grieve and let go.
Yeah, and that's what
and
I did.
that's painful. And as a mom, that's very painful. So you go through a grieving of what you thought things would be and the way that things are, and you have to grieve the fact that I couldn't fix this.
Yeah. And
my lack of control. But through that came a much stronger beauty and serenity, for which I'm incredibly grateful.
Well, that's yes, and I'm sure you relate to this because that's where the powerlessness comes in, and that's the way I live my life every day because, I trust and rely on my higher power, and it's so much easier.
Yeah, it is. It is. And the fact that you get to relax and just focus on the one step ahead, and we don't have to know all the answers. And that was an amazing thing for me to learn, that I didn't have to have the whole plan laid out, that it could evolve.
Yeah.
And that I was going to be okay regardless.
That's great. Lucinda, it's been really great talking to you. I really appreciate you being here.
Well, thanks for the opportunity, and thanks for all you're doing for family support.
Yeah, and
it's making
thank you.
A huge difference.
And I'm really excited about next week. Leave a Legacy.
It's going to be a fun night.
It's going to be great, and I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you so much. And this has been Hope for the Family. Thank you.
This has been Hope for the Family, hosted by Lori Evans and brought to you by the Magdalen House. I am Bryn Hansen, host of our Recovered Interviews with Alcoholics podcast series. We hope you've enjoyed this podcast. Tune in every first and third Wednesday for a new release from one of our 3 podcast series. To learn more about the Magdalen House and the services we offer, visit magdalenhouse.org or follow us on your favorite social media channels by searching for the Magdalen House.